Having procured as much information as I could from our local reporter, I proceeded to call on one Trixie Delight at the Pussycat Club. To my utter delight, she was dancing as I entered the bar. She used that pole like an expert, and I was honestly impressed. I never thought of striptease as an authentic art until I saw her routine. And let me tell you, mister, it was enough to make a guy hot under the collar, and for all the right reasons. She wore a sort of bunny costume. Well, it was just a pair of long ears and a cottontail, but it did the trick. She graciously gathered up the bills and stuck them into her gold lame bra. Watching her hips sway as she walked off stage reminded me of my time on a Navy troop carrier, with the waves slowly tilting us back and forth in an approximation of Trixie's seductive walk. I had to keep reminding myself that she was a mob mom. Just being seen with her could get us both whacked. But I went ahead and knocked on her dressing room door after the performance, just hoping that Romano's thugs wouldn't report my visit to the big boss.
Take a look around.
She answered the door wearing nothing but a thin, loose satin negligee. I looked her up and down and liked what I saw, but this time, I kept to the business at hand.
What the hell are you doing here? You must be completely bonkers to be seen here with me. Are you nuts?
Well, baby, maybe I'm just nuts about you.
I doubt it. You didn't even bring me any flowers.
I assured her that my oversight was not out of impoliteness, but because I just didn't want to seem too obvious.
Whatever. Do you want to come in, or does that idea frighten you?
I'm not afraid in the least, Trixie. Believe me, sweetheart. You're a real bombshell.
Okay. I've heard it all before. What do you want?
Aren't you even going to offer me a drink?
I'm not going to offer you anything tonight, honey. You might as well state your business. I've got an appointment with a gangster, or haven't you heard?
Oh, I've heard that, girl. But I prefer to believe that you're secretly in love with me, since I'm so handsome and beefy and all that. They say I've got natural charm.
And a big ego. If I didn't know any better, I'd think you are the gangster. You've definitely got a similar attitude about women.
Just don't want to have to hurt you.
Frankly, I'm sick and tired of being bribed and pawed at. Guys just don't seem to know when to leave a girl alone. You should learn that.
Well, why would I want to leave you alone when you're just dying to see me, baby? That would be cruel and unusual.
Really? Is that your line today? Cruel and unusual? Sounds like you're arguing a case in a court, not wooing a girl. You need to update your repertoire. I think that's what they call it.
Yeah, that's what they call it, but I'm sincere. I really like you, Trixie. I just don't like your boyfriend, that's all. If we can get rid of him, then I'm all yours.
I'd like to see you try that, gumshoe. You'll end up in a pretty pickle if you try anything that stupid. These guys are everywhere. I'll bet they know you're here right now. They might even be waiting behind that door. Who knows?
She lifted up her leg and placed her foot on a chair by the makeup mirror. I watched enthusiastically as she pulled on a pair of sheer red silk stockings. Noticing my lascivious gaze, she pulled down the hem of her dress and gave out a sound, which is apparently what dancers do when they're bored or irritated by an admirer. I pulled up a chair and sat down close to her while she brushed her long golden locks. Trixie, you're going to have to face facts. Romano is a killer, and you're never going to be safe with him, especially if he catches you hanging out with guys like me. So why don't you help me take him down? Surely you don't believe you're his one and only. Everybody knows he's a philandering playboy when he's not strong-arming people for their money or their business. Trixie slammed down the brush of her makeup and threw a bottle of cheap perfume at me.
You have a big mouth, mister. I'd shut it if I were you. You get it? My thing with Tony is our business and no one else's. Do I make myself clear? Shut your filthy mouth, or I'll call Tony now and tell him you're here.
I could see that I'd pushed her a little too far. If I was going to get any help from her, I'd have to try a softer approach. Okay, baby, you got every right to kick me out of here. I'm a bad boy, I admit it. But then I think you actually like that a lot. Tell me truthfully that you don't find me interesting in some way.
Are you trying to seduce me, Nick? Because if you are, you're doing a really lousy job. Why don't you go study your lines and come back when you're ready to take on a tigress like me? Until then, butt out and leave us alone.
That was my invitation to be bad, so I took it. I leaned over and kissed her hard on the mouth. She resisted for a few seconds, then she let go and simply went limp in my arms. I could hear her breathing heavily, so I figured my approach was working pretty well. She kissed me back and threw herself at me completely. The room temperature was rising quickly until we both heard the loud knock on the door. I pushed her aside and reached for my gun. If it was Romano, the time was right for a showdown. I was ready to end the battle one way or another. Either he was going down or I was toast, but it didn't really matter. I knew there was no way to avoid this, and there was no turning back.
To the further adventures of Nick Savage, Private Eye. Who are you?
Mike Hudson. Who are you?
Nick Savage, Private Eye.
I was relieved when Trixie's manager opened the door. When he saw me holding my pistol, he froze. I smiled and then casually replaced it back into my shoulder holster inside my jacket.
Trixie, Wolfe, the hell are you doing with this guy here? Someone will kill you both.
Shut your mouth. You ain't seen nothing here. You understand?
Sure, Trixie. I just came in to let you know that one of the girls is sick, so we need another act for a leader this evening. Can you do a double show?
I suppose. What's one more gig in a girl's life? Got nothing to lose.
Thanks. I appreciate it. You'll go on at 9, so be ready. There are going to be some important business associates in the house tonight, so be good. We're relying on you.
What are you talking about? I'm always good. You know that.
He walked out and closed the door, so I swept Trixie back into my arms and began kissing her neck again. We enjoyed the next 30 minutes, even if we both knew it was just one of those things. I don't think she ever really did expect me to try to steal her from Romano, but she enjoyed the fantasy anyway, and so did I. Trixie, I'm gonna have to ask you to do me a favor.
What, Nick? What are you pushing at? I know you came here for some reason besides just necking with me.
I have to get some information about a boat harbored up in Vancouver. You see, my friend says Romano stole it from her, and I want to help her get it back. It's only fair, Trixie. If I stole Tony's craft, he'd want to do the same thing. The boat's called the Molly McGee, and it's a pleasure craft. So, do you know anything about it? She stared at me as if trying to decipher my true motivations for asking her about the boat. I'll never know whether she told me for reasons of her own, to get back at Tony, or for some abuse, or some other reason. All I know is that she told me what I needed to hear.
We take cruises on that boat, and he entertains clients on her. It's being renovated at the dry docks in Vancouver, according to Tony. He told me he's planning on a cruise to San Francisco, so we'll be leaving on the 24th.
Thanks. Do you know when it's scheduled to return from Canada?
I think he said it will be crossing the Straits of San Juan to Pico on the 24th. That's Wednesday this week. Nick, please don't try to steal it back until after our cruise, okay?
Honey, he's got enough money to buy you 2 or 3 of those tubs, so I wouldn't worry your pretty little head about it. I don't plan to steal the ship, I just want to know where it's at, that's all. We'll let the insurance investigator take care of the rest of it. It worked. I was able to get the date for the shipment. At first I wondered why Romano would announce the day of its departure from Vancouver to his girlfriend, but it began to make sense when I considered it as a cover for a private cruise ship. The 100-foot vessel could carry dozens of passengers, or it could carry several tons of illegal liquor. He was counting on the fact that folks would see it as a pleasure craft rather than as a cargo carrier. Therefore, it was reasonable for him to tell associates and his girlfriend when it was leaving. He didn't expect anyone to rat on him. Of course, I felt bad afterwards because despite common opinion, I do have a conscience when it comes to women. I knew Grace would forgive me for using my manly charms to get Trixie to divulge the information he needed. I just didn't feel good about how I'd used her. I was also convinced that she knew she was being used by me, but she didn't try to fight it at all. In the back of my mind, I wondered whether she actually believed that there was a chance for the two of us to be together at some point. The most likely scenario is that Trixie was a smart young woman trying to cover her bets. If Romano was brought down because of me, she'd still need someone to test her mettle and give her an occasional night to remember. I left her sitting in front of her makeup table, putting on blush and powdering her nose. She tried to act as detached as possible as I kissed her goodnight. The only thing she had to say was a sarcastic comment.
Thanks, that was swell.
Well, I'll try to stay a little longer next time, Trixie. I think you were just getting warmed up. I was forced to duck as her shoe went flying across the room and hit the wall. I laughed to myself, but left as soon as possible before she went for the scissors.
I think
The further adventures of Nick Savage, Private Eye.
Lucky.
Sorry, Mark Taylor-Canfield and Krista Lee Wolfe. Written, produced,